Hello, Sol. It's great to have
Hello, Alex.
um
Thank
I,
you.
I'm
Great to
so
be here.
excited. I'm so excited about you coming to India, and I can't wait to meet you. But just to get us, interested in what you're going to be talking about and getting our curiosities in a bit of an uproar, could you tell us a bit about what you're going to be speaking about in India?
Well, um, the way that I approach the chart is that I use it a lot for almost like coaching or healing or working on people to so that they can reach their potential and realize their dreams. So for me, I've been involved in a lot of psychotherapeutic work as well, and it is therefore I'm going to give a lecture how we can see the astrology charts as a map over the psyche, or as a chart over your energy, more or less. And then I look at each planet as if it was a person of its own, as if it had a voice of its own, and we call that a sub-personality. So this is how I approach the astrology, and it's a very helpful tool for anyone who wants to grow as a human being. Mm. So that's what I'm going to talk about when I get to India. Mm.
Excellent. That's quite a different approach, I think, to the way astrology is used in India. They have a less of a psychological approach. Could you just tell us a little bit about how you began studying astrology and what captivated your interest?
Well, actually, it was the whole Rahu Ketu thing who captivated my interest for the evolutionary astrology, because it was the only Western approach that I could find that actually had a substantial body of knowledge relating to what we call the nodal axis. And for me, that was always a big thing. I just had an intuition. I started out astrology very early. My father was an astrologer when I was a little child, and I grew up seeing my horoscope, hand drawn, and it was there all the time. I've always known my chart, and when I was 16, I started inquiring about these things, and it's before I knew it, I was deep into evolutionary astrology due to this thirst to find out what is the Rahu Ketu anyway, the nodal axis, and because I really feel it's an important thing. And it brought me into the evolutionary astrology. And evolutionary astrology is not per se, it's not about prognosis necessarily. It's not about finding out what's going to happen in the future. It's more about building, it's more about healing and building potential in this particular moment by healing whatever it is from the past or in the karmic past that needs to be healed, that needs to be developed in order so that we can reach our potential. So that was very interesting for me, because your dreams can come through by luck, or they come through because you are prepared and because you are opening up for whatever potential there is out there. But there's a lot of dreaming on this planet, and there's a lot of disappointed dreamers because their dreams don't come through. And this is, for me, very important to work with. And that's why this became my passion. That, along with other healing modalities, I come from I've worked with energy healing for quite a long time, right? So I'm very excited to go to India, because part of my lineage and part of my tradition comes from this particular part of the world, like the Himalayas. And when I first started meditating as 19, 20 years old, I started out with an Indian lineage called Siddha Yoga. And I've been studying these things for quite a while. So it's probably part of me feels like coming to India is coming home. There's a bit of me that is very related to Indian philosophy. Absolutely.
Wow, that's fantastic. I don't know
Yeah.
very many Norwegian astrologers, so I'm very excited about meeting you. What is astrology like in Norway? I mean, do you have groups there? Do you have conferences there? I mean, what attracts people to astrology in Norway?
Yeah, this is so interesting. Imagine we're a country of only 5.5 million people, and we live on an area that is the same size as the continent of, the country of Japan. So it's a very strange country in global terms, because there are so few people here, so it's not a large astrological community at all. I mean, when I host my annual Polaris astrology conferences, we have about 40-50 people coming, and that's, we have one school of astrology that is more actually esoterically oriented. Esotericism is very wildly loved in the Scandinavian countries. So it's not the kind of, there's no Vedic astrologers here, although we have some Ayurvedic therapists and stuff like that. And it's coming in a little bit because more and more people are traveling to get their yoga education in India, and they come home and they had their charts done by some Jyotish, and which is wonderful, but it's very, very based on psychological approach, the Jungian approach, the psychological approach of the modern astrology, I'd say. So it's not into classical or astrology so much, but more psychological astrology. And this is probably the needs of the Norwegian population. They are keen on finding out why things are the way they are.
Oh, that's fascinating. And is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to in India besides sharing your knowledge? Is there a sacred place you'd like to go to, or is there a particular branch of astrology you'd be interested in studying once in India?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to see, to learn more about the Vedic astrology. Little by little, I'm learning more and more about it. It's, I've had a very dear friend of mine who I also met, who introduced me to Siddha Yoga. She's very good with the Vedic astrology. So, I've learned quite a lot over the years, but that would be very interesting to see how can I practice this astrology? What can I learn from it? And I'm looking forward to meet people who are mastering their profession and learn from them. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Now,
think
in terms of my personal,
oh, sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Oh no, you asked what I wanted to see. Well, if it was
Yeah.
up to me, I'd probably be running away into the Himalayas if I had the opportunity. But I'm not sure how long I can stay in India. There is this trip up to Varanasi that would be wonderful, but duty, alas, is probably calling me home very soon. So I can't stay so long. So.
Well, I hope that
Yes.
all of Norway will be watching you, and some real interface between the two systems can develop from this conference. Because I think you can't, without understanding both sides of the coin, you don't really understand the coin at all, its value or how it can be used. So I'm very much fascinated about how we're all coming together in this a small, relatively small city. Although once you get there, it'll be a bit overwhelming place in India. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about your lecture and from the other speakers as well. But in particular, I'm excited about Norway coming to India.
Yeah, I mean, it is truly something I felt. It was truly joyful to have this opportunity. It was very nice. It's an adventure, and
Hmm.
especially because most of my friends have been in India, and I've never had the opportunity to go, or I've never done anything to get there. I'm more like a person who waits until it gets to me, in a way, like it did this time. And I often, like, people were in my kind of environment, people were like, so did you go to India and did you, the yoga thing and stuff like that? Because I do yoga regularly and done for many, many years. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't get to see that guru or that teacher or whatever. But I always had a saying, if I can't go to India, India has to come to me. And I've been saying that for years. So it's very fun. And it's really big for me to go to India. I'll be having my solar return while I'm there. And it is also for the solar return chart for that particular year. For those of you who are acquainted with that kind of technique, I'm getting the same exact ascendant that I was born with. So it's a very symbolically juicy moment for me, and Saturn will be exactly there too. So karmically, I think I will recognize a lot of, there will be like a recognition of some sorts, and that I'm looking forward to. I'm like these special meetings and these special encounters. Now, of course, there's always one small part of me that wants to meet a teacher and that wants to sit with those people in meditation, and that would have been wonderful as well, because that's really where my heart lies.
Oh yeah, there'll be that opportunity as well. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's been wonderful
So,
speaking to you, and we're looking, like I said, I'm looking forward to meeting you in real life and hearing what you have
mm,
to say. And thank you so much for
well,
taking time.
oh, no problem. And I'm looking forward to see you too, also, Alex. That would be amazing. This is going to be like the astro party of the year.
It is the year of the century. Okay, thank you again. Bye
All right.
bye.